You're listening to the Confidence Within podcast. If you are a successful professional entrepreneur who is nonetheless struggling with the fear of public speaking, then you are in the right place. This podcast is all about igniting your inner confidence, learning to show up with genuine authority and brilliance, and becoming the best version of yourself. I'm your host, Victoria Lesnyansky, and welcome to my show. Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of the Confidence Within podcast. Today, I wanted to play for you a segment from my recently released free mini course, which is all about breaking free of public speaking anxiety and achieving limitless growth in your career and your life. In this short segment, I'm talking about all of the excuses that I've heard from people over the years and why they think they are not destined to become a confident, assertive, and captivating speaker. So if this is you, you are going to love this episode. And if you want to watch the entire mini course, then I'll tell you at the end where to grab it. Enjoy! Absolutely anyone can conquer the fear of public speaking. Anyone, period. And every time I say this, somebody inevitably says, yes, Victoria, it's easy for you to say, but my case is different. But I am, and then I hear a reason why that person cannot excel in public speaking. For example, I am an introvert. I hate being the center of attention, and I cannot be good at public speaking because of who I am. Let me tell you a quick story about my client, Rose. Rose is an entrepreneur in Netherlands, and before COVID, she used to own a children's store and children's label in the online and offline retail space. And she grew it to a very significant sized business. And then during COVID, she decided to transition to become a business coach and to teach other business owners how to grow their retail and online businesses. And Rose is an introvert, and she firmly believed that was the reason why she was scared of speaking in public. She had really massive anxiety. Giving an interview was just impossible. Speaking to a group of people was absolutely terrifying to her. And then she heard my interview on one of the podcasts where I mentioned that I teach public speaking confidence and I am an introvert myself. And that inspired her to reach out. And now that Rose has gone through my program, she is not only a successful coach, not only she successfully teaches other people what she knows, but she also started her own podcast. Imagine that. She is now speaking on her own podcast. She goes to other people's podcasts. She has interviews. She goes to conferences, online conferences, and speaks online to other people. And she now understands that while she's still an introvert, that didn't go away. It truly had nothing to do with her ability to speak confidently in public. Here's another thing I hear all the time. English isn't my first language. I speak with an accent and I make lots of grammatical mistakes. Obviously, I'm a prime example of that, but probably half of my clients are not native English speakers. One of my clients, Irina, I really love her story, and you can actually listen to her story in my podcast. She came to me because her dream was to become an international speaker. Well, little caveat, Irina was terrified of speaking in public. She is originally from Colombia. She has a strong accent. She worked with women who suffered through domestic abuse and sexual abuse, and that was her main job. That was her main area of expertise. And she wanted to become an international speaker so that she can help women all over the world who are in those situations. And so it was a big dream, but she absolutely didn't think that dream would ever become a reality, because even when she tried to do little live streams, she was so scared she could barely get words out. So now Irina, who is still speaking with the same accent, speaks about the same how she always spoke. Now Irina is not only an international speaker, she is an author. She wrote a book shortly after she'd gone through my program. She did a whole tour with the book. She now has her own radio show where she speaks again about the same topic. And she has truly overcame her fear of speaking for good. Here's another one. My public speaking anxiety is way too severe. It cannot be helped. My anxiety was pretty bad, but I had a client who had it even worse. She literally threw up before every presentation. She just couldn't calm herself at all. It was horrifying. And at the time, she was completing her PhD and she needed to defend her thesis. And so she came to me to help guide her and coach her through her public speaking anxiety. And then, of course, she successfully defended her thesis. She was very, very confident and convincing. And she spoke with authority, with passion. And she said that her presentation was really highly praised. And she was very, very happy. Needless to say, she did not throw up before defending her thesis. So no matter how bad your anxiety is right now, it is absolutely fixable. Here's another one I hear a lot. I'm too old for this. I've had this anxiety for decades, and there is no way I can overcome my fear. It's going to be like this forever. Let me tell you about my client, Chris, and I just love this story. So when Chris reached out to me, he'd been following me for some time, and he was, I think, 53 at that time. He lived in New Zealand, and he worked in the Department of Correction as a manager. And he was really, really good at what he did. He was highly respected by his peers. However, because he was afraid of speaking in public and he was trying to shy away from any opportunity to speak, he felt it became a hindrance at his job. He really, really needed to fix it because it was affecting his performance. And as Chris was going through my program, he sent me this message. I ended my speech with a Maori proverb. I got a standing ovation. And the men in our care are actually prisoners. That's how they're referred to in New Zealand. And some staff performed an arousing haka to me, which is a huge sign of respect. Haka is a New Zealand Maori war dance. The managers were wowed by my speech, and I have been asked to speak to our probation colleagues. As you can see, age is not an issue. And here is the last one I'm going to mention. I've had a traumatic experience with public speaking, and I know it's going to keep me stuck. Let me tell you about my own traumatic experience. I was growing up in the former Soviet Union, and every summer I would go to a camp. And when I was 10 years old, there was supposed to be a concert at the camp. And the director came up to me, gave me several pages of paper and said, well, here's a poem. You're going to recite it from memory at tonight's concert. This was like a few hours before the concert, and we're talking about 2-3 pages of a poem I've never seen before. I had really good memory, and of course I said, sure, yeah, I'll do it. And I memorized it, and I felt ready, even though I was really, really scared. I walked on stage all by myself in front of that microphone with literally thousands of people in the audience. And I'm standing in that darkness. And I'm so scared. I can't feel my legs. I can't feel my brain functioning anymore. I'm all sweaty. And I cannot, for the life of me, recollect the first line of the poem. Complete blank. So I'm standing there, I'm staring at the audience, and they begin to giggle. And I'm so stressed that I just said something that came to my mind. And as soon as I said it and I heard my voice in the microphone, I realized I said the wrong phrase. And this is where people are really laughing. And it took me a couple more seconds and I ran off stage in tears. And the truth is, that episode really held me back for years. I couldn't even look at a microphone. It literally gave me massive, massive anxiety. I couldn't go on stage in front of an audience and not feel trembling throughout my whole body. And it took me years and years and years to completely work that episode out of my system, out of my mindset. And that had a lot to do with developing unshakable inner confidence that we're going to talk about tomorrow. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you are struggling with the fear of public speaking and wonder why nothing you've tried so far worked for you, then you definitely want to grab my mini course. Go to www.conqueryourfearminicourse.com. Here are a few things I'm covering in it. 5 lies you've been told about how to overcome your fear of public speaking and why they're actually holding you back. The 4 C's you need to obliterate your anxiety from the inside out and become a confident, assertive, and captivating speaker. How to leave band-aid solutions at the door and achieve unshakable inner confidence in any speaking situation. And how to show up as the expert and leader you are so you can exponentially grow your career or business. Again, go to www.conqueryourfearminicourse.com and binge watch the mini course today. I hope you have a fantastic week and I'll talk to you soon. Bye for now.